Hello and welcome to the Chattercake podcast. See what I did there? I did the
And
classic.
just add the on the end.
Yeah, I did
On the beginning, sorry, not the
I
end.
did the classic movie trope, just putting the in front of everything, even though it's just like a lame attempt at making a sequel title.
Well, it's the reboot title.
Yeah, this is a reboot. So for people who don't know, I'm the Drinking Thomas Hughes. This is my voice.
And I Connor O'Shea, aka Zenith Fire. Also on Twitch now, Zenith Fire Gaming, because I lost my privilege of having my account. So reboot.
Reboot all around. Yeah, so just to explain a few things how it's obviously going to work. Obviously, before we did, well, as point of recording the 64, but a point of video going out to be 65 episodes of the old review layout of Chatter Cave. Obviously, it felt like a bit of a change. It's a lot of work trying to get everyone together for a movie review. Like,
Everyone's busy.
Exactly. So I thought let's try and free up a bit of weekends so we can actually do stuff if we want to in person or even D&D, which we're planning on. Actually, I'm sort of very early stages of working on. Like, I mean, I've got
The end before the beginning.
I've got the end, and that's mainly it. So just trying to free that up. So literally, it's just a Monday to Friday recordings or editing or whatnot. So there's that. So yeah, I did speak to Hayden. She was like, and I said, it's a bit weird. I was like, it's 1 year, 2 months, and 65 episodes later, and we're ending it for now. And she's like, just get up by 4.
Get to that 69 point.
I said, okay, I'm not, obviously, there's still 4 things that we could obviously talk about in a proper review podcast. So I was like, okay, so there's obviously Hawkeye, Miss Marvel, and we could always do both the first and second when it comes out Witcher series. That would bring us to 69. I said that would be it. We're done then. Show's over. We're cancelled. We've hit the number. This is her.
Is it 69 or 420? So
I feel like it'd be a long time before we ever hit 420 on that one. But yeah, so that's we're waiting for the right moment to bring that normal one back. So for now, she's now replaced with Connor.
I feel bad. I feel like a replacement. I'm not a...
You recast? I'll recast you.
Recast, yeah. Recast.
To be fair though, she's got her own show coming out in September.
I was the first guest on this channel.
Exactly, so, I brought you back.
Full circle.
Yeah. Literally, my first video was with you.
Yeah, Old Man Rich.
Yeah, exactly. Wow, good callback there. Like, only you remember that one.
Old Man Rich. Rocket League video. Watching
yes.
2 FPS and roll around.
But yeah, obviously she's got her own show, so you don't have to worry about anything. That should be interesting.
What show? Is it anything in works yet, or is it?
She's doing basically like obviously instead of like doing an overall TV review, we're like picking out specific episodes of like TV shows in a certain like category. So like a crossover episode. And
yeah.
She's gonna like over the course of like say 20 episodes, she's gonna review 20 different crossover episodes in like a 20-minute window or something like that. And she's gonna have like a Top Gear style ranking, like I used to do with the early Chatter Caves, the little ranking. And obviously at the end, obviously you'll have a top 10 ranking of how she puts these said crossovers or musical episodes or that sort of idea. That's the sort of idea we're going with.
Are we talking about the rankings in like the fastest lap or the ranking on the big board with the Sub-Zero and the super cool one? No one about it. I watched too much Top Gear. They had 2, didn't they? They had a big board that they put the cars on, which were like cool or rubbish, and then had the time one as well. Maybe the older season. We're going off a tangent already.
Probably the time lapse.
No, the time lapse.
Because that's an easier sort of one to put it down to. Because I can't fucking remember the other one.
Up and down instead of like crap to good. It's
yeah.
kind of like that. They're like, here's the bad cars,
Yeah.
here's the amazing cars.
So I've literally got to like track down like 20 episodes. But obviously, because since she works weekdays like us, but obviously we're able to work around ours.
Because we work the same shift.
Yes. Which is why I chose you as my new co-host.
We work the night shift, as you can tell from the bags under my eyes.
I just realised my shirt's not fully buttoned up.
What, top or bottom?
No, bottom.
Mm.
Yeah. Bags under your eyes. We look really wrinkly now, old. You know, yada yada.
23 feeding 70.
We're becoming old man rich.
Oh my god.
Full circle.
We'll go bald eventually.
Probably. If it's anything like your old man, you're definitely gonna go bald at some point.
I'm not. I mean, look at the forehead already. I'm getting there.
Yeah, obviously she would have to be obviously like a Saturday recording, so that'd be the only time that I'd be recording on Saturdays. But we're gonna bulk record it for the fact that it's it's shorter videos, it's shorter watch times of episodes, so it's literally you can record like 5 or 6 of these rankings in one weekend.
Yeah, true. 20-minute segments each one.
Exactly. So it's obviously a lot easier than obviously trying to get together like an hour-long podcast with her. So
I mean, yeah,
something to look forward to. But I'll give her a break until like the back end of August before we actually start sitting down and recording. Gives me time to actually sort of
focus on work.
gives her a break and gives me a chance to focus on trying to write a D&D campaign. Trying to write the screenplay for the short we're working on, which hopefully should be filmed at the end of August. Fingers crossed.
Possibly.
And just try and finish my book as well. Try and write that.
Definitely got to get D&D in soon.
Yeah.
I want to come round and try and do my usual. Try and make love to absolutely everything.
Well, I have made like 3. I've only obviously made 3 characters for the story so far, and it's like a barman, his wife, and his daughter, and I can see what's going to happen with you there. You're going to bang the barman.
Yeah, 100%.
And he's gonna fall for it, and then there's gonna be some more barman babies.
I'm just going to roll a nat 20 and just get everyone in the bar.
Barman butt babies. But yeah, I'm obviously trying to mash loads of stuff together, which is why we've rebooted to allow me the weekends to work on this kind of stuff. And
you mentioned a lot about reboots, actually.
Yeah, because
what's the topic of this episode?
The topic of this episode is reboots. So that can be anything really: movie, TV, comic, games, us, music. Because technically, sometimes music gets rebooted.
Yeah, kind of remastered, I suppose, in a weird way.
Obviously, Lionel Richie. Hello, Adele did the same thing. Remake, reboot.
Cool. It's a confusing one in music because it's covers. But has there ever been a band that has rebooted?
In a vein, though, it is like kind of a reboot. But obviously, it is a cover, but in a vein, it's a sort of remake, reboot of that sort of beloved thing.
Yeah, it's first time.
But I know that obviously the one we were talking about in the build up to all this was obviously God of War. So obviously that had its main 3 installments. Obviously the old ones in Athens. It obviously had loads of spin-offs as well, didn't it?
Yeah, it was like if you didn't have like a PSP little title,
Yeah.
and then obviously little things like him being included more combat and stuff like that.
There's these little like spin-offs, and then obviously what year did they announce the game? I know it came out in 2018, but what year was it announced? Was it like 2016 before that?
2016 was, maybe it was announced, and 2017 I think they showed the first trailer, right?
Let's have a look.
I think it was 2017.
I'm the wiki man here. So it was announced. Scrolling down Wikipedia, development began in 2014.
2014, Jesus. I know there was coming to the end of the deadline and there's loads of bugs and it was all panicking, and it came out and it hit like critical acclaim, and I was like, oh, thank God.
It was confirmed by the director, Cory Barlog, at the first annual PlayStation Experience on December 6th that year. When it was in very development. But it wasn't until 2016 that some concept art was actually leaked. Obviously showing off this new Norse thing. And then obviously the official announcement came 2016's Electronic Entertainment Expo, E3. I should have just read further ahead, and this is E3. So going through the entire name. Can we reboot this now right again?
Yeah, go again.
It was announced at 2016's E3.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Obviously with some gameplay demo that confirmed that it was Norse. And obviously, this is obviously the first sort of one since God of War 3, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, God of War 3, and then it went to this one, I believe.
Yeah. So obviously, I never played any God of Wars in my life. I didn't really have PlayStation 4 till I was working at Smith, so what, 2016? Back end of 2016 was the first time I got PlayStation 4. I was an Xbox guy. Can't stand Xbox now. Shit.
PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3 here God of War originally. Don't think it. Obviously, might have re-released on PlayStation 4, but can't remember. Maybe on the store.
I think the closest I got to PlayStation years ago was obviously the original PlayStation, that little fucking little box.
Grey box. Oh, the little tiny one. The rounded one, not the big box one.
No, it's like a really
Remember
small.
The two buttons and one opened the little
and one turned it on.
Yeah, you had like the one after the OG. I had both. One was broke though. I remember having like a little Easter egg sticker with a little bunny and some eggs on it. I stuck on there once. God, that was like I was born in '98. I've got to have been playing that in like 2000 or something. I remember Tony Hawk's being the most played game.
That's all I used to play on it. That or what was it against? I used to have Power Rangers Time Force because that was my big jam back in the day. Still is now, but I need to fucking track it. It was literally all you had to do was play the theme song and whatnot, and you get into the game. You can only choose like one or two characters, and you just run around like it's really like old school graphics, like punching enemies that run at you. And then like you get into like a big Megazord fight at the end. It's like a massive stadium where it's like a sort of like Mortal Kombat massive fight, but obviously not as brutal. And then it obviously jump to the next setting, and then so on and so forth until you unlock certain things. Quite a fun game back in the day. And what was the one I used to play? Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? I used to have
PlayStation
that.
1?
I used to have that on PlayStation 1.
Who Wants to Be... it Chris Tarrant one?
Yeah, Chris Tarrant.
Yeah. And I'm something got it wrong. I think I remember having it.
If I can track it down for the next episode, I will, because obviously this is going out a bit earlier than...
Was it the one that you always did like 50-50 or phone a friend and you always gave you the wrong answer? One of them, I think it's phone a friend, always gave me the wrong answer. I don't think I ever got it right.
If I can track it down before, obviously, we record the next one, which was like, 2 weeks away, because we're doing this one a bit early just to test it and whatnot. Obviously, then I will literally show them if I can find the games, because I still got them somewhere in the house. They're literally somewhere. I think some of them are in this drawer down by my knee. So
I think I might have played it. I feel like I had like a TV version, you know, just put my like DVD player.
Oh, I used to have all of them.
Like
Deal or No Deal, Bullseye.
It is like a British thing. I don't think this is like an American. People are going to be like, what is Bullseye?
You throw darts at a board and a cow comes on and goes, and then you win.
Number 1, fully special prize. Where do you live? I live in the middle of Birmingham. Here's a speedboat.
Oh, you want a caravan? Here you go. You've won a caravan. I'm pretty certain there's like game shows similar in America that did that sort of thing. Oh,
they have like the prices right and stuff.
Yeah, I think there's obviously very similar ones, but I don't think that there is Bullseye over there. Could be wrong. People in America are listening.
They have that thingy as well. Oh, Vernon Kay used to host it in the UK. It's like, show me the board.
Family Fortune.
No. Oh my god.
Yeah, Family Fortune.
Family Fortune. I thought you said Wheel of Fortune at first.
No, Family Fortune.
Family Fortune. And Wheel of Fortune is one. There's loads.
Family Feud is in America, isn't it?
It might have been, yeah. I think it is, because obviously in Always Sunny they go on that, don't they?
Yeah, and so a lot of Saturday Night Live sketches of that.
Yeah. I just can't think of his name, the guy with the moustache. The one who looks like Mr. Potato
Head. Family Feud. Are you talking about
Mr. Potato Head, man?
Steve Harvey, by any chance?
Yeah, that's it. You got to put a picture up of him and Mr. Potato Head next to each other.
I just found a guy's bald and went, yeah, it must be the guy he's talking about with a moustache.
Mr. Potato Head. Tell me he doesn't.
In a vein, yes. We've definitely gone massively off topic. Back onto Reboot. But yeah, obviously, I had the OG PlayStation, and not the one after the OG, and I had PSP.
Mad PSP. I had a Vita, but I didn't play it as much. I had the one when the disco block on the back, and it goes. Mine was busted. Though, so you pressed it, the spring would just shoot your little disc out.
aim it at someone.
I had the white one. I had the white one, and it just got totally ruined. I've dropped it so many times. Took it to school, obviously, and it's just destroyed.
I don't
know if I've still got that.
I think I had the black one.
I think the white one was like a limited release, but I remember someone being like, "Yeah, I don't play it." So
I've still got mine somewhere. Again, I think it may be in that cupboard.
I don't remember any games on that other than me playing Sudoku and Tekken. That was the only 2 games I think I played on that.
Oh, what did I play on that game? Here's my
I think God of War. I think I might have looked at God of War when that was released, and I was like, "Oh no," because I didn't understand. I was a bit young.
I think I remember playing Ratatouille on it. That's how old
Oh,
that is. I tried to play a Yu-Gi-Oh game, but the PSP just would not accept the game. It's a brand new game. Put it in. It's like, nope. Oh, okay.
I remember. Here we go. I swear to God, if I remember correctly, I used to have SpongeBob the movie on one of those discs that you could watch on it. I used to take it in the car. I think it's SpongeBob the movie.
Yeah, because that's the thing with the PSP. You used to be able to buy like the movies, couldn't you?
It's like MIDI DVDs or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think I might have had one. I can't remember what one. I think all I used to replay on it was like fucking Star Wars Battlefront.
I don't remember what games. I remember is Tekken.
I think Battlefront 2 was the only one I really played on it. That was it. I can't remember much else. It's been that long, but yeah, obviously there's the only 2 PlayStations I ever owned. I played a PlayStation 2 before, but I'd never owned one. But obviously, when I saw the trailer for God of War 2018, because this is before I knew you, wasn't it? This came out.
Yeah, but either we just started working together, or we
it was about 2 months before we started working together. And obviously, I saw the trailer. I was like, "Oh, this is kind of cool. It's right up my alley. It's Norse because I'm a big fan of Norse mythology, especially growing up around Hayden. Big fan of Norse mythology. Just in Prince on your mind. Hey, 4. Okay, I love Norse now. And obviously, I like action games, and obviously seeing all that in this trailer, I was like, and obviously, because obviously you like multiplayer games, but you know me, I love story-driven games. I'm a big fan of story-driven single player games.
I'm a very big mix at the minute with that. I love multiplayer games, but I feel like lately they just fell off for me. And single player games have took my fancy. But you also like games like Doom, which is my favourite because there's hardly any story. So it's just killing everything, which is my thing, I suppose.
But yeah, obviously I saw the trailer and was like, this game looks amazing. And did I buy it straight away? I can't remember. I think I did. I did.
I certainly remember you being like, you should play it. And after ages, put it off. And then he was like, it's on off for like 15 quid. And then I went out and bought it. And I was like, okay, yeah. Yeah, I think I sat down and finished it in like 2 days and was like, yeah, best game I've ever played.
But yeah, I'm pretty certain I bought it straight away. So I think I was off at the time, because I'm usually off around my birthday when it was released in April. And I remember playing a bit of it. I think I did some, and I couldn't play it all, and I played a bit of it, and obviously slowly and surely I was playing bits and bits. And obviously I met you. It took me a while to talk to you, because I'm weird, and it takes me a while sometimes to talk to new people. So. But eventually we got talking, and eventually we started talking about games and whatnot, stuff we love. And we was like, I was like, God of War, it's an amazing game. I finished it. It's so good. I think it was at Christmas, wasn't it? It was the day first time you ever met the group. The first day, the day before you met them, obviously the shift on that same day, you reserved your copy at Argos. I remember.
Yeah, because I remember you putting out the art book, and I was like looking for it. I was like, it's kind of cool. I was watching videos, and then I went to work, and I was like, he's like, oh, it's on offer at the minute for like 15 quid. So I was at work on the computer reserving it.
It's like 12 quid at the moment on the PlayStation Store.
So if you haven't played it,
pick that game up. It's even if you haven't played the other ones, don't give a shit. I haven't played any of the other ones, and I got straight into it. I've finished it twice now.
I think I finished it.
Well, not the side crap, just the main story twice.
I've done a lot on that game.
But yeah, I remember you picking that game up, and then you coming straight to mine afterwards. That was when.
Yeah, I did my bag, didn't I?
Yeah, because that was the day you first met them. When you kept saying your name was Gary to them, and they believed you. And right then you're like, oh yeah, my name's not Gary. That was just a joke. And then the entire day they all thought your name was Gary.
I wonder how long we could have kept that going for.
That would have been hilarious though if you did.
I feel like you would have slipped up at one point.
Yeah, and said Connor or something.
Yeah, and they would have been like, who the hell's that?
But yeah, I think that was the day as well you checked out the art book. He's like, oh, let me have a look at the art book. And I was like, here's the art book, have a read of that. So obviously,
that's me. Like,
I love my art books. I've got loads of them.
You got the art book. I picked up this one. I don't know if she got this one. I picked up this one.
No, I haven't got that one.
Oh, that's pretty good. I'd say pretty good. I haven't even got around to reading.
This one's pretty good. I haven't even read it yet. I
got
didn't
it
know how to
more.
read.
I think the beginning bit was obviously all like the Atreus' point of view and everything, I think, and then obviously the rest is like artwork and whatnot. So I picked that up for that basically.
So, cause I think I picked the art book up for about same price per you picked up the game for, like about 20 quid.
Yeah.
I was like, I gotta pick that up, and I think that's what started my love for buying art books. Because I brought that, and then ever since I've picked up
Spider-Man.
both the Spider-Man games, Horizon, Days Gone, Death Stranding. Have a little cheeky look. Marvel movie bonds. Wait, did I get Witcher? No, I didn't get Witcher. I got it though.
You have a thing for collecting stuff, as you can tell from his background.
I'm a kleptomaniac.
You're a hoarder.
Hey, hoarders collect any old crap. I actually collect nice crap. Do you see like boxes of egg cartons just flushing out my room every day every time I open the door?
Do you think your desk's spot on? That is your desk, you just can't.
Shh! Don't tell anyone.
Just boxes, milk float.
But yeah, God of War's probably the prime example of sort of reboots.
Would you class it as a hard reboot or a soft reboot? Because apparently, like a hard reboot kind of restarts from the beginning, but this
Soft.
is
It's a
it
soft
still
reboot.
has obviously stuff from the beginning of the other games, and
It's a soft reboot, but the fact it still connects to the other games, it's a soft reboot.
Still has his skin with the ashes of his like family on, and everything kind of still there, but it's just definitely improved upon.
Okay, so obviously God of War would be a soft reboot. A prime example of a hard reboot, not intentionally meant to be, but was, is some, a little callback to old chat Caver did not long ago, which is Bumblebee. Originally not meant to be a reboot, originally meant to be a prequel. Then it did well, and it was like, okay, it's a soft reboot, and then they're like, okay, it's just reboot the entire timeline. So that's technically speaking a hard reboot.
Just totally resetting the timeline, basically just a hard reboot, right?
Whereas this resets a few things, like maybe eradicates a few things, but brings like it to the new generation essentially, which is what God of War did. So obviously, as they did the 3 games, and there was the spin-offs and whatnot, and that was all set in Greece. Then they went, okay, let's take this character, put him in a new setting, give him a new story, but still have that harshness from those other games. Obviously, in this case, would be Blades of Chaos, which you get so far into the game, because obviously it's the frost axe for so long, and then the blades. So there is that aspect of that. So obviously the blades being the past, but obviously the axe being the new, the present. So obviously, yeah, on his arm he's got the axe.
I need to get the blades somewhere.
On your arse cheeks.
I should get his big red thing too.
You should get the blades on your arse cheeks, like the X across, like pointing towards your asshole.
X marks the spot. Just have Kratos like this, and then just spread the cheeks to your face.
Yeah, you should have the blades pointing to where the hole is. So someone goes, "Where's your asshole?" Have a look.
Oh no! I show like the blades here, and the chains go.
Oh, it's spawning from your ass.
Kratos is inside there somewhere.
And Atreus is just suffocated between the cheeks.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously God of War is probably the prime example for this sort of reboot, because it's not a remake. Because remakes are basically the same thing but modernized, whereas reboots are basically the same thing, but they have the feel of the same thing, but they're different. That's a big, like, massive debate, remake versus reboot, how to define it. I think the best way to define it is people should watch the movie Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. They did the joke in that, where the guy explains, like, obviously the difference between reboots and remakes. And he's like, best example of a remake would be Point Break. The one with, I always forget the geezer's name. Obviously, Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze was the original Point Break. But then they did a remake with, I forgot his name. He's in the new Black Widow movie. But anyway, they did a remake of that, and obviously that was his prime example.
Put the name up now. Just flash it somewhere.
I'll try and find it. You know what I mean? I'll randomly shout it out loud in a bit.
Yeah, but, I can't remember.
But yeah, obviously he does a lot of betting adverts. That's what I'm trying to think. I'm trying to remember.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember his fucking. In my head, he's literally like he does a lot of fucking like Betfred and shit like that adverts. He's a British actor. He always talks like this. I've got to Google it. It's pissing me off. Sorry. I'll get back into the topic in a minute. It's just pissing me off. It's probably best example to type Black Widow in because he's in that. He's literally the bad guy in Black Widow. His name. Come on, IMDb. I've got it. It's just like cut off slightly. Ray Winston.
I can't think. I think I've heard of his name, but I can't think of what he looks like. Ray Winston. I've got to look now. For God's sake.
Yeah, basically, he's in obviously the remake, and obviously that's the sort of comparison. Obviously, that's been a remake.
Yeah, I do know, kind of.
And obviously, the comparison towards like reboots was Star Wars: Force Awakens, because it's set within the same universe as the previous 6 movies, but obviously it's trying to slightly ignore the original 3 after the fuck up with them, and more focus on the following 3 for the fact that it has the exact same plot as New Hope, but it's brand new, and it's got a few changes in it. So that's a reboot versus remake. So that literally that's the best way to see if I think it's on Netflix. Jane Silent Bob Reboot, and as I say, he explains it on there, and then the guy tries to compare it to Marvel, and he has a go at him, and he's like, I basically jerk off to Marvel more than I do to porn, and he's like, and he goes, and I do it 2 times as fast. It's a fucked up film, but it's hilarious.
I've seen clips. I haven't watched it yet, but
yeah, obviously that's the best way to explain it. Obviously, another sort of reboot. Obviously, we talked about it on obviously that direct conversation we had, which is obviously Doom, because Doom's basically a reboot, isn't it? Was it a remake?
Yeah.
Does it connect to the old ones?
I feel like it does, especially in Eternal. In 2016, it kind of separated itself, but then internally, it kind of had like a full 360. It was like, oh, okay, you are the original Doom guy from these games.
So Doom 2016 is basically a remake, but obviously Eternal basically scraps out. It's like, no, it's just a reboot.
But I think it had like lore in it if you read into it, obviously, because Doom's story is like wishy-washy anyway. If you read into it, I think it did have lore to say, oh, it was like a lead-on kind of thing. But then Doom Eternal like concreted that in a way. But Doom 3 kind of gets thrown in there somehow because that was kind of a reboot of its own. I don't think that shouldn't have even been called Doom 3. That should have been called like Doom Again or Doom whatever.
Again.
Just
Doom again.
The Doom.
The Doom. Full circle. The Doom.
Honestly, because Doom 3 had like nothing. It was like more horror than action, so it was like kind of I enjoyed Doom 3. I think people hate on it a lot, but when I was like 13, oh god, I don't know when it came out. I remember being young and I went to Blockbusters and I bought that and the DLC. Yeah, Doom 3. God, I don't know. I must have been quite young.
Doom 3 came out in 2004.
Oh my god. Okay, I was young then. So I was like, what, 6?
It originally released for Microsoft Windows in 2004. And was then ported to Xbox in 2005.
Yeah, I had it on PC, man.
So yeah,
I was 6. No wonder I literally didn't get past the first level because the first bit is like, oh, you're walking through this like alien facility, like space station on Mars. You're like, oh, and this is nice. And then also like satanic stuff like popping up, and then I was just like, nope, turn that off. I even put the DLC because back in the day you didn't get DLC download.
It scared you?
You had to put it on a disc. Like, yeah, I was terrified. Like, I mean, I was 6 years old, but yeah, that thing was scary, man. I don't know any 6-year-old who's played Doom.
That's what I find funny with this. Obviously, God of War, I'm the one who got you into the reboot. Doom, you're the one who got me into the reboot. It's the opposite way around. So obviously, you were like, oh, you should play this. And then didn't you buy me it?
Oh boy, I was like, here's a gift. Like, here you go, play it, do it now, play it. And then you just was like,
yeah. So it took me a few months because obviously I think it's when I first started YouTube, wasn't it? So I was dealing with a lot of that in the early stages. But obviously, when I actually got into it, I was like, oh, this is really cool. Apart from that weird glitch I had, which wouldn't let me finish a level. I had to make me restart the entire level. Other than that, I really enjoyed it. And obviously, Eternal came out. I think I only got past the first or second mission in that twice. So obviously,
Eternal was a huge change. We've talked about Doom on a previous.
Yeah, because obviously I played like the start of Eternal, and then my computer fucked up and I had to restart it. And I'm pretty certain I've literally just played the start of it twice and never got any further. So now we did the video, didn't we, over Christmas? We did the video over Christmas, didn't we? When I was a Doomicorn. When I played the first mission, but obviously I split it over 2 videos because it was that fucking long. That's the thing with Doom. Missions are so fucking long.
And also we did like a whole thing on Doom at one point, me and you. So.
When you was talking about why you love the 2016 one. So, you know, if you want to hear more about that, then just go check it out.
Put the little
the links below, or the dingies.
I did that little thingy at the top. Put that in there.
The iCard, if I remember.
Yeah,
I always forget the iCard. I remember the links in the description, but I always forget the iCard.
Just stick that up there. Just every 10 seconds, you just pop it back up. Someone eventually click on it.
God damn it! They want me to click on it now. But yeah, obviously, out of gaming, obviously, as I say, movies and TV shows are a big thing when it comes to reboots and remakes. Obviously, for example, Doom had a remake of the old movie which was mediocre at best anyway, nothing like the Doom games, apart from the first-person scene. Then they remade it and were like, yeah, it's doing on a lower budget as a direct-to-TV DVD movie. And look at that fucking turned out.
They could have done so much better. Like, even with a low budget now, like, computing technology has come so much further than what it was when the first Doom movie was released. Like, you could run on, like, I mean, look at YouTube. It's like everyone like 0 budget, and their like quality is amazing. Like, all you have to do is hire someone with a bit more, skill.
Who knows what they're doing?
I mean, I can't talk. I've never made a movie, but from like obviously an outside consumer point of view, very bad.
Well, if everything goes to plan, you'll be starring in a short soon.
I'll be starring in my shorts if you're lucky.
Well, you could be. You may. It depends how I design your character outfit. I might put you in shorts. Depends on the weather.
I really want some beige shorts, beige shirt, and them hats with the corks on it.
Because if the weather's shit like it was when we did Deadly 61, then you won't be in shorts. You'll probably be in jeans or something. But to be fair though, the good thing about this, we're gonna have to film half, like so much of it out in the woods. Like half of it is literally can be filmed just downstairs. It's making a murderer, isn't it? The joke. So we can just film loads of it in a house. That's the bonus thing when I've actually started to write a bit more about it. But anyway, off that topic, obviously, as I say, there's a lot of other movies and that have had this idea. Obviously, as I said, Star Wars, big example of a reboot. Remakes over even Jurassic World, technically, that was technically a reboot.
Yeah,
it rebooted Jurassic Park, and it was successful as hell. I watched that actually yesterday. I was watching that last night.
I watched the first one. I didn't watch the second one.
Fallen Kingdom's probably my preferred out of the two.
Yeah, that's the second one, right?
Yeah, I really enjoyed that because for some reason they made the dinosaur like really satanic. Like the music every time it comes on the screen, it's like really.
Yeah,
I showed you the music before. It's so satanic. I was like, how can you make a dinosaur so satanic? And it just worked like hell. And it's a good movie. But I'm trying to think of some other prime example. Obviously, in terms of remakes, obviously, pretty easiest example I can think of is Spider-Man. Obviously, you had the Raimi trilogy that got remade with the Web duology, which was meant to be a trilogy, but was scrapped after this disaster of the second movie. And then obviously you got the what's the director's name? Tom's googling again because he's forgot the guy's name.
No, the one with Andrew Garfield. Them ones.
That's the Web ones. Watts, John Watts. You got the John Watts trilogy by the end of this year. So obviously that's like something that got remade 3 times. But obviously now, if everything is going how people are thinking it's going, that's now going to connect to all the crazy multiverse stuff. But obviously, even Batman's probably a big prime example of remakes and reboots. So if you got the original Keaton duology with Tim Burton at the helm, then they did the I wouldn't really call it a remake. It was kind of a reboot with Val Kilmer because it was the same Alfred. If I remember correctly, it was the same Alfred for all 4 films. And I think it was meant to be the same Batman, but it was obviously just slightly altered to fit this new look with new director, obviously Joel Schumacher on the helm of both of them. And obviously then they did the disaster fuck up with fucking George Clooney. Everybody freeze! But obviously those are more reboots than remakes, to be fair. Though obviously they completely changed a lot from them. They kept a lot of the core concepts from them, so they are technically sort of more reboot than remake. But then obviously they remade it with Christopher Nolan at the helm. But obviously Dark Knight trilogy. Great trilogy. and then they remade it again with obviously Snyder for BVS and Suicide Squad and Justice League, and there's Flash, and then obviously that's getting remade again with obviously Patterson at the as Batman,
Yeah.
which
I
hopefully
feel like with
is gonna be
films,
good.
it's like, especially with superhero films, there's only so many films that they always do like so many actors or the vision of the director, and then they can't like add on to it. I feel like once you do it again, you've got to redo it because obviously, like, if you kill off the Joker, obviously what happened in you don't want to get rid of such a main villain. You can't just go and carry on with that timeline because it kind of ruins it. Then you want that main villain back, which obviously a lot of films are going to do. So
I feel like with movies as well, a lot of times when they like obviously because as I say obviously they did the Dark Knight trilogy for prime example, so obviously that had to be made after the fuck up of the last two Schumacher entries of the Batman movies, so that had to happen. But obviously after that, obviously it obviously went on hiatus for what it was 2012 was Dark Knight Rises.
yeah, I
It
believe
was
so.
like 4 years before we had Batman again in obviously BVS, but obviously though obviously that led eventually to Justice League, which I was so happy about. The Snyder version, not the fucking Whedon version. The idea, one thing that annoyed me with obviously that change was the fact that Dark Knight Rises set up Robin. Like he was like, oh, we could
Yeah,
have a spin off. Like that's
yeah.
what I mean. I don't mind obviously rebooting and remaking and whatnot, but I mean, if they've set something up, you could at least spin it off. Because as you say, you can only do so much with certain actors, certain directors. This is literally where Nolan could have stepped back and got someone else to come in and gone, okay, I trust you to see my vision through, do this movie based on this character I've set up through this, and then that could have spanned onto its own spin-offs, sequels, because then that could have made its own universe, but they didn't, did they? Because obviously they went, okay, let's just remake it. Snyder's using Batman Batfleck, and then obviously after a while they're like, okay, let's remake again with Patterson and forgot the director's name again, different director, Matt Reeves, the guy behind the Planet of the Apes. The last two Planet of the Apes, not the first one. The last two. So it's that kind of idea. Because that's the thing. I feel like sometimes it's fine to reboot something or remake something, but then other times you're like, you've set something up. Why don't you just see that through rather than doing that?
It's a hard call though because like with the multiverse stuff and everything in like obviously Marvel's got a huge multiverse now,
And
but
DC are doing it as well, technically.
DC, yeah,
Flash
well,
are doing it, aren't they?
DC usually follow suit along with Marvel, but it's one of them things of like you couldn't have two Spider-Man movies coming out at once with two separate actors, two separate directors because it just clash, it wouldn't work. So they have to do a reboot in a way. They can't have
Thing is that
like
they are though, because fucking Batman. You got the Batman coming out next year, and you got the Flash. Batman. There's two Batmans in the Flash movie, Keaton and Ben Affleck.
that are having.
Maybe even more. And Keaton's going to play a large part in that movie, and they've also got the Patterson film coming out. So I think the Patterson one comes out in March, and the Flash one comes out in October, November. So it's obviously the same year. There's months apart, but it's the same year.
Very
Yeah,
weird.
yeah,
I suppose if there's a way to like pull it into the like multiverse, like, obviously Marvel are doing that what if and stuff, and obviously they're opening the multiverse anyway within their own thing, which obviously has been set up. But I don't think you could have two main. Like, obviously, that one's about Flash and one's going to be
yeah.
Batman.
Like
I
two
don't think you
main
can have
like
two Batman films or two Flash films. I mean, the Flash kind of makes sense because you obviously. It's a very weird one anyway. They could do it, but it wouldn't sell as well. I think people would be divided on it as well.
that's the prime example as well with that. Obviously you have obviously the Flash TV series, for example. Obviously that's at the same time, but obviously DC at one point, I think they sort of scrapped that idea now of doing that. At one point, not long ago, they introduced Superman into the TV universe, but then they got rid of him straight away because Superman was going in obviously in the movies and whatnot, and they got rid of him for that exact reason because he was in the movies. But now they've cause obviously there's not two like coexisting, but then they scrapped that entirely, and they've got obviously Superman stuff still coming out, but then they've also got obviously a Superman and Lois TV series. So there's just gone, yeah, fuck it. I obviously there's no point anyway because it's two different universes, a TV universe and a movie universe. You know, it doesn't really matter if there's two at the same time.
That's the other thing as well. Like obviously Marvel have gone that route of doing TV series that are leading to films now, which is like the opposite to DC. They always keep it separate, but Marvel are just like, yeah, let's just chuck them all in together. So that's going to be a interesting take on how they mix everything back in.
It's because
I suppose it's.
they know what they're doing, don't they?
I suppose the series. I don't think they would have done the series. I think it's an awkward. I feel like they did the series because they had to build up what happened after Endgame. That's the main reason. If the event of Endgame didn't happen, as like obviously they did, they wouldn't have done this. That's why obviously Black Widow got her film anyway, because they can't put a TV series because she's dead. So they had to do it before. So it makes sense to do a whole movie rather than because every other person in the Avengers got their own movie leading up to it, and now her movie's just thrown into the mix, which I still need to watch at some point.
That's the thing as well, obviously, with reboots and remakes. Obviously, especially remakes, as soon as they announce a remake of anything, movie, TV, game, anything really, you get that hate instantly from the fan base of the original ones. They're like, yeah, no, I'm not watching this. Oh, what the hell are you doing there? Whereas reboots, don't usually have that much hate because they're keeping a lot of the core aspects from those ones, but just changed it slightly. So you obviously have a lot more love from fan bases when coming into reboots. But obviously, as soon as they say, I know, remake, you're remaking. Go on, think of something, anything.
Alien versus Predator. Is that a remake, right? Kind of.
Would you get people hating on that? Because people hated on the films anyway. Think of so really. Okay, prime example: Jaws. Full circle now, back to the original podcast.
Yeah.
if they announced a remake of that now, I think the internet would explode in anger. Because
there's no point of a remake of that film.
It was done well at its time. It doesn't need to be remade. They tried to remake it. They literally apparently pitched a remake to Spielberg. I don't know how long ago. Spielberg went, yeah, nope. He basically just told to fuck off.
Obviously the first one is critically acclaimed, one of the best films of all time. The second one, and the third one was really bad. They could make
and the fourth one was really bad
after the first one. Like let's reboot after the first one, but I don't think they could make.
Yeah, that's what I would like really. So obviously, the third and fourth puts a bad taste on the franchise. I feel like they could reboot the franchise and ignore the aspects of the second, third, and fourth, or even keep the second. It doesn't really matter, and follow on directly from the first, and basically just fix the mistakes and make a good movie, and that's it. Don't do any more, because a lot of franchises have done that aspect. Halloween's done that to a success. They obviously had a great movie in the 70s, a really great entry by Carpenter. Had it in the same with Jaws 2. It had an okay follow up. It wasn't needed, but it was okay. And then it just went downhill after that until H2O, which brought it back to Halloween 2 in the sense of good sequel. Wasn't needed, but good sequel. And then it just went downhill again. Reboot to Rob Zombie, downhill. And then obviously David Gordon Green stepped in with Carpenter. Was like, okay, I want to reboot, follow on directly from the first one. Me and Danny McBride are writing it. We'll do this and that. We'll follow the events of that. We'll ignore every aspect of the franchise. Though we may do little hints to certain things, it's not an actual sequel to anything but the first. And he did. Bashed it out in 2018. Success. Got 2 sequels on the way. One coming out this October, one next October, which is going to end this timeline. So that's shown it can do it successful. Texas Chainsaw's got one coming this year. It's a direct sequel to the original. But they've already done direct sequels to the original in a reboot. The 3D one was technically a direct sequel to the original. And then the prequel was a direct prequel to the original and a prequel to the 3D. Timelines are so confusing sometimes. But that's what I mean. Obviously, there's no point in remaking something. Reboot, yes. Remake. Only if, say, the original was dog shit and you can feel like you can fix it. Then maybe. Like Alien vs Predator, for example. It wasn't dog shit. It was a mediocre, slightly above average film. The second one was a bit dark. You couldn't see anything. Maybe reboot that. Remake that, sorry. And fix the mistakes they made. That's probably a good example of trying to remake something. And not destroy the internet. Whereas trying to remake Jaws, it dropped off.
Like a huge crossover, and then they just messed it up. Like I enjoyed it when I was young. Obviously, I didn't really understand. Like this is a bad movie, When you watch it on your you're like, yeah, okay, this is pretty bad. So,
When I watched it, I think I watched it last year again. I see flaws in it. I see flaws in every movie, really. But it's the idea of you shut your mind down and just enjoy it. That's how I look at movies. I'm not some of this person who's just like, obviously when I'm like doing something as a proper review, like dissecting and whatnot, then I'll look into a lot of the more bad stuff and whatnot. But I'm someone who just literally just will shut their mind down and just try to have fun with a movie. Obviously, if a movie's shit, then you know it's shit. If my mind's shut down, it still says it's shit. Prime example, that Bill Murray film with the zombies, not Zombieland, The Dead Don't Die. I shut my mind down for that, and the film was dog shit.
yeah, but you'll still watch the full film, whereas I'll get like 10 minutes in, like, this is boring, turn it off. If I get bored, that's it. Like, you'll sit there and put yourself through it. I
Yeah,
can't
because
do that.
I'm a man. I'm a man who has to who started something and will see it through.
Maybe I'll watch The Room all the way through, but that's because it's like bad funny.
That's what I
But
mean. Sometimes getting it bad funny is how to make a film interesting, but when it's just bad, it's not.
then again, I obviously, as you know, another previous podcast we've done is one of my favorite horror films is The Shining. But everyone I ever ask if they like it absolutely fucking hate it. I don't think I've met anyone who says it's a good film. It's critically acclaimed, but everyone I've met is like, yeah, I don't
So
like it. It's really
I
funny.
gave it a positive review, but not like to your level of positiveness. I've sat through it 3 or 4 times now, and it's like,
I think it's just a different take on the horror genre. So, I mean, it's a bit of a twist, and I like that. Obviously, I like the slasher stuff. But, I mean, Freddy Krueger's probably up there with some of my favourite ones as well. But I don't know.
That's what brings it back around to sort of the reboot side. 'Cause though it was a sequel, Doctor Sleep, it also sort of rebooted obviously a lot of the ideas within the original. Obviously, it changed a few things to obviously fit going forward with this new movie. That's the sort of idea. Obviously, sometimes you can have a sequel, but it's also a reboot at the same time. As I said, Halloween 2018, it's a sequel, but at the same time, it's a reboot. So sometimes you can
Reboot, kind of.
yeah, so you can always like sort of merge these two ideas into one instead of just doing a full-on remake. Because can anyone out there name a remake that was positive, a successful film? I can't think of one off the top of my head. I've seen a lot of remakes over the years. Ben-Hur, thought the remake was dog shit. And again, never watched the original, so I can't
Normally,
really.
the problem with remakes is like it's a remake of a film that's popular. There's never really a remake of a film that's like terrible. So people are instantly going to hate it because they're comparing it to the original anyway.
Okay,
Which is obviously
here we go. Here we go. I found like a list of films. Come on, internet, don't just be an asshole. No, fuck it.
One internet.
Nah, skip on that. Total Recall wasn't a great remake. It wasn't a terrible film, but it wasn't great. I think the only prime example I can actually say that was a good remake was probably Dawn of the Dead by Zack Snyder. That's probably the only one I could really say was a really good remake. Magnificent Seven, that was a solid. I'm sticking with westerns here as well. True Grit, those two were really good remakes on obviously beloved old school western classics. I almost got like The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing was technically a remake of The Thing from Another World, and that was probably for me did surpass the original. Evil Dead, though it wasn't as good as the original, it was actually a decent film. Jumanji's technically a reboot, isn't it?
Jumanji's one of them things that like a lot of people like though. I'm not a big fan of the new one.
It's
I feel
it's
like
a reboot
very
technically, isn't it?
comedy. The old one was obviously aimed. Oh, it's awkward because like the old one was obviously aimed to kids, but like even when I watch that back now, it's like, oh, this is good. But I watch the new one, I'm like, these references that they're making is so like cringe and stuff. Like to me, it's just like when you watch these like high corporate people try and make like a meme and be relatable to the youth. That's all it feels like when I watch Jumanji. I'm just like, I can't get into this.
It's a reboot technically, though, isn't it? Because it
I'll
does.
call it a reboot because it's not like Jumanji 2. It's like
Jumanji. It follows on from the ending with the beach with the game in the sand. So it's technically a reboot, isn't it? It's a soft reboot.
It's a reboot, and then they kind of change things like, oh, it can turn into a game console because no one wants to play board games anymore.
It's a soft reboot, but also a sequel at the same time. Here's a prime example of a remake that was actually hated, but I really enjoyed it as well. The Wolfman with
Never.
Benicio del Toro, not Benicio del Toro. No, yeah, Benicio del Toro. Thomas is trying to correct himself and hope he's right. I'm pretty certain I'm correct. Wolfman. Yeah, Benicio del Toro and Anthony Hopkins. It was a film that wasn't loved on when it first came out, and don't think it's still loved on that much now. But I thought it was a decent remake. But that's the thing. As you say, a lot of times when you're trying to remake classics, it's a bad idea because it's always going to be bad in people's eyes. You might have like a few people out there be like, that was actually enjoyable, or that was really good. I prefer that over the original, but it's very rare you get that aspect from people.
I feel like obviously in movies, it's a common thing to reboot a series, like make it like a totally new, start from the beginning. There's not many games that do that. There's not many games that take a whole 360 turn because obviously like that's their IP. Like it's like Resident Evil now. Like a lot of people are like, oh, it's a reboot, but it's not. It's just like the next one. Like it's not gonna go away. It's not gonna turn itself to like back to Resident Evil 1. There's a lot of people like remasters of games, just like older games, new graphics, new systems, I suppose. So it's a weird one. Movies and games are very separate on this.
Yeah.
It's just
Obviously, the only ones I say TV shows do it as well. Prime example recently, they remade Walker Texas Ranger, the Chuck Norris series from back in the day, but just called it Walker now, and I'm pretty certain that got critically panned. It was literally like the guy from Supernatural, who played Sam, which is Jared Padalecki, I believe that one is. He's literally gone from Supernatural, and then they just went, yeah, you can be in this as well, and it just got panned. It was
no one can top Chuck Norris.
Yeah,
Come on.
It was nothing like the original from what I've been hearing. Still don't think it's got a UK release date yet. It's been released in the US. I think it's the last episode's next week in the US. By the time this goes out, it'd be the previous week. But yeah, obviously, as there's loads of TV shows out there that have been doing it as of late, and a lot of times it's just not successful. And I'm probably going to break the internet. I'm pretty sure, I don't think I said this during my review on it before. A remake I actually do prefer to the original.
Go on, then.
The Friday the 13th remake from 2009. I actually prefer that to the original. Just because it's actually Jason.
Cool.
It's the original. Spoiler alert, if people don't see it, was Pamela. And it was obviously, I respect it. It's an old school slasher film. For its time, it was really good. But it's me. I like my gore. I like my brutality. And for the fact that I made Jason run, it made it even better. That's why I prefer that to that. So I probably just broke the internet when I said that. Everyone's going to shoot me. But yeah, if anyone can think of any other reboots or remakes out there that are good or worse or better than the original, don't hesitate to actually comment.
What I think the biggest reboot of possibly all time within the gaming realm will be Final Fantasy Online. Because they literally had it out, had to kill their own game because it is like doing really bad. Literally, there's a whole in-game cinematic of like the world ending, and then they released it under the Realm Reborn thing, which is like a totally new game set in the same thing. Oh, it's so confusing. But basically, it's a total reboot, a totally new game, but kind of like a sequel because I had to end it because no one was playing it because it was really bad. And then they basically destroyed the world in like a end cutscene, turned all servers off, remade the game. Hence why it's called the Realm Reborn. Like they remade it from scratch, like totally rebooted that one game, but it's still technically Final Fantasy Online. So it's like the same game, but not the same game. It's probably the best reboot I can think of. I can't think of any other reboots that have been like that big. That was like the biggest reboot I know of, especially being an MMO as well. So it's like it's like the population on it. The minute's huge as well.
So I can't think of made a big reboot like that. That sort of level. That does sound fucking massive. But maybe audiences will think about it and put it in comments. Who knows? We can dream, can't we?
I feel like people don't want reboots as well. Like take for example, like World of Warcraft. Like you've got the classic servers now, which is literally like when the game first came out, playing on just like that thing. Then they release like just the first expansion, and they're gonna release it in parts, so you can play like I imagine like all the expansions, but in separate bits. So you can't be like because obviously they've got the main game out, which is all the expansions up to date, but then they've got classic World of Warcraft, which is like oh god, how do I explain it? So imagine the game first came out, no DLC. You can play that now with updated graphics, kind of, but it's still all the same. But then they released the DLC, which is you can still play the classic and the new DLC, but it's separate. So they're kind of building it in chunks now because people don't. I feel like people don't want reboots; they just want old stuff back. Same as like remasters. I feel that's another thing. Like people just want old games and new graphics.
That's the thing though. Reboot's probably your best way to get that old stuff back.
Like if you want to, like God of War, obviously the best example in my opinion. Like they wanted to keep the God of War, but
Best
change
example
the
in gaming.
story, so they rebooted that. Whereas most places don't want to change the story. Same as like Diablo 2 coming out soon as a remaster. They don't want to change the story instead of making like a Diablo 1 again because everyone loves Diablo, so they're going back and just updating the graphics of Diablo 2 while working on Diablo 4. Then again, let's not talk so much about Blizzard because they're in a lot of heat at the minute.
Yeah.
They're a massive, massive
I saw
lawsuit.
that recently. But yeah, I feel like obviously, I say God of War's best in terms of gaming. Star Wars is probably the best in terms of movies. But I think just to sum it up, reboots are the better option than remakes. But you have to get the reboot just right. You need to capture that love of the old, but make it new.
Films defo reboots.
Yeah.
Games, I feel like remasters and remakes. I feel like that's the market. I feel that's a different thing. Like Tony Hawk, for example, we said we played that when we was little. I went and like replayed the remaster that came out because I was like, oh, I'd rather play that than a brand new Tony Hawk's because they were all terrible. They released new Tony Hawk's that were all pretty bad.
I think it just depends on the franchise, really. That's the best way to put it. I think some franchises it works for, others it doesn't.
It's a hard one. The gaming markets are definitely, in my opinion, more dedicated to like that narrative of like if you're gonna remake a whole game, just call it a different game. Don't include it as like this thing. But then again, with Crashed, I mean, they got rid of the new Crash, kind of cut out one of the crashes and totally got rid of that out of the law, which was the Wrath of Cortex, right? No, oh my god, which one is it? It's the PlayStation 2 one with the bloody masks, and I'm pretty. Oh, was it Mark Hamill who did one of the voices of the mask in it? I'm pretty sure he did.
I don't know.
Oh my god, I can't think which one it is. But PlayStation 2 on it is really bad. Like, no one liked it. It's not a bad game when you're younger. Obviously, I enjoyed it when I was younger. But going back now, it's like, yeah, this is terrible. But the new one they brought out kind of pushed that out. Like, that's not even part of the timeline anymore. Like, if you see the timeline of Crash, that's just like gone. They just dropped it. It was like, yeah, let's get rid of that of the timeline kind of thing. So that's kind of like a reboot, I suppose, because they rebooted the whole thing. Because they put the remasters out of the first three games, which everyone was like, yes, please. And then the fourth one they dropped was like a total redo, and then got rid of the other one. Was like, yeah, let's get rid of that one off here because no one liked it. So I think it works in some cases, but it
Yeah.
has to be the right case. It
Yeah.
can't be something everyone loves. Like, if, for example, I'm trying to think of a game that like I absolutely adore that I used to play all the time. Okay, like example again. Let's say Crash One, very first Crash game that came out. If they just totally rebooted the Crash series, we'd be like, yeah, nah. Like Crash of the Titans, everyone that was kind of a reboot, and everyone hated them. Like with these like a new Crash with these tattoos and everything, everyone's like, yeah, nah, it's not Crash. Get rid of that.
As I just think it just depends on the market and what you're doing. As I said, God of War, easy enough to do it with. It's got a decent market, but it started dwindling a bit. But then, obviously, if it's like a high demand, then sometimes it's just best to leave it alone. That's the best way to say it entirely. Reboot, but only at the last resort.
Also, gaming have matured as well. Like obviously, the old God of War were like hack and slash style, and I feel like people wanted like a grittier story, and obviously that without doing that kind of style of game, more open world RPG style, is easier to build on a story aspect rather than what most people did with the old ones, just skip all the cutscene, like forget no lore, just hack and slash. Which, if you wanted that, go and play some Doom, man. So
I think we've spoken enough about reboots. I think we've got our opinions
yeah,
out of when to do it, when not to do it. difference between reboots and remakes, why remakes are shit, apart from Friday the 13th. Internet's going to hate me for that. So obviously something we're going to intertwine with all this now is obviously some news aspects that we found.
Oh, I've got some news that I found literally before I came on, and I feel like you're going to be excited. Ghost of Tsushima movie got greenlit.
It finally got greenlit. I know obviously it was announced, but I didn't know it got greenlit.
Yeah, apparently it's like going through. Apparently it's going to be a thing.
Doesn't
Everyone's
surprise
hyped.
me. Doesn't surprise
So
me.
I expected it to be a thing.
Yeah. Oh, that's got me. That's got me. Oh, giddy. Okay, so obviously I'll be handling the movie and TV news. He'll be handling music and gaming, mainly gaming because.
Well, there's a crossover then between movie and gaming.
Something I've read the other day. The guy who directed the original Space Jam, because obviously that's come out recently. Critically hated, audience loved it. The guy who directed the original one slandered the new one. He said it apparently took him 5 times to watch it. He goes, it's a terrible movie. He's like, they didn't need a sequel. They could have called it anything else, which is in the same vein of what we were saying, just remakes and reboots. They could have called it anything else. And the last thing he put out in his like tweet or whatever it was like LeBron, great on the court, but ain't no Michael. He basically just beat the crap out of this movie. I think it was an okay film. It's not as good as the original.
I've seen people like hype it up, but obviously they've got a lot of meme culture in that. Obviously, Big Chungus, Rick and Morty showing a bit.
I read something about Big Chungus. Apparently, some guy was watching it, and some kid basically just lost it at that scene. Apparently,
got kicked out of the cinema.
Apparently, his mum had to take him out the room because apparently he's lost it.
Apparently, the guy's like, I don't remember anything with the film.
Yeah, because I forgot the rest of the movie because of that.
I mean, like a lot of things have like crossover now. Like, obviously, even in like, I know you're gonna be like, for God's sake, but Avengers when you got the Fortnite.
Oh. So when you said Avengers first, I was like, okay, it's not gonna be as annoying as a Fortnite. No, I mean,
yeah, Avengers Fortnite. Yeah, that's a whole thing. I mean, that was in film as well when he's playing it.
You call me a dickhead again.
So he comes on the mic. He's like,
what else? Obviously, as I'm recording right now, there's been the release of Snake Eyes JoJo Origins and M. Night Shyamalan's Old. Both were very negatively reviewed by critics, but only one of them got mostly positive from audiences. As at the moment, Snake Eyes sits at 40% critically, which is rotten on Rotten Tomatoes, but 70% audience, which is obviously fresh. It's decent. It's watchable. Whereas Old weirdly sits at 56%, both ways between critics and audience. Both give it 56%, which is rotten. And we're still going to check both out because I've seen both JoJo movies. We're covering them. Well, we covered them on the podcast. We're talking in past tense. And obviously, Old, I've seen pretty much all Shyamalan's films that I can, and it's always hit or miss. And I've liked his last few films, so I'll probably check it out. The trailer looked good, so yeah, there's your recent movie with that. Second Dune trailer dropped. Obviously, I was showing your old man at work, and it looks epic. Something just fell off. I don't know how that fell off. I haven't touched anything.
Ghost
of Tsushima. Yeah, so I'm very much looking forward to that. The other day, Jordan Peele, the guy behind Get Out and Us, announced his next movie with the poster. It's going to be called Nope. It's starring the guy from Get Out, the main actor. The actor, I forgot his name. The guy who played Glenn in The Walking Dead.
Oh yeah,
and someone else. I can't remember who the woman is off the top of my head. But that got announced, so I'm looking forward to that. I like Get Out.
Is that the good guy / bad guy at the same time? That one? Or am I thinking of a different film? Get Out. Which one's Get Out?
Get Out is the one in the chair. The white like the white cultist essentially.
With a run and then he goes like
yeah. That one.
I was thinking I Don't Breathe them for a second.
Yeah, I liked Get Out. Us was decent, but it wasn't as good as Get Out. It wasn't as groundbreaking as that, but it was entertaining. So I'm looking forward to that next year because it literally got announced yesterday, I think, the 22nd, and it's like, oh yeah, it's coming out exactly a year from today. I was like, okay, I'm interested in that. Some news I actually read literally right before jumping into this. David Gordon Green's Exorcist movie. It will be a direct sequel to the original Exorcist, just like he did with Halloween. So Blumhouse is doing an Exorcist movie, but it's going to connect straight to the first ever one.
Okay.
So I think with the director at hand, it should be good if it's like Halloween. The new film called The Green Knight, starring Dev Patel, which is like a medieval sort of film, which looked quite good actually. It's actually been pulled from UK cinemas until further notice, just 2 weeks before its release due to COVID rising. It's still out in the US right now. It's got so many positive reviews, and it's just been pulled 2 weeks before indefinitely until the do anything.
So you can't watch it in the UK.
You can watch it in the US,
Or everyone can go clubbing into the pubs with no mask on it.
basically.
What's going on?
It's what I found interesting actually. Legendary Entertainment, the studio behind Godzilla vs Kong and that upcoming Doom movie, obviously a big sub company under like a lot of banners, are actually considering a possible sale or merger of the company. I feel like that's to do with the whole HBO Max deal with Warner Brothers, with the fact that both their film Dune and Godzilla vs Kong got chucked on there, and they thought obviously Godzilla vs Kong did enough with money, but obviously it's going to hurt Dune because Dune cost a lot to make, and it's going to hurt the possibility of a sequel because the Dune film's only based on half the book, so I feel like they're a bit pissed off with that, in my opinion, so they might be trying to go elsewhere.
Somewhere else,
Yeah, that's what I feel like that.
Somewhere a bit more ka-ching.
Yeah. TV news, obviously fucking Westworld Series 4 and the American Horror Story Series 11, I believe it is. Both got obviously paused recently due to COVID. Game of Thrones is pretty cool. House of Dragons did, but it's actually literally 2 hours before I wrote this down. 2 hours before we recorded this, it came up saying, "Oh yeah, they've unpaused it now. They're back on filming." I was like, "Okay, so that's back filming." She-Hulk's just cast a actor from the TV series Arrow, Josh Segara. I don't know how you pronounce that. For obviously that show. So we'll find out at some point who he's going to play in that. Obviously today we're recording. Master Universe came out on Netflix, and it's critically and fan-wise divided. Critically, it's loved. Fans have slandered it. On Rotten Tomatoes, last time I saw critically, it was like 90%, whereas fans was like 30%.
What is this twist? There's always there's never really an equal ground between critics and fans. Like
apart from old, that's the only one. I actually watched the first episode earlier, and I thought it was alright. It was a decent episode. It had a shock ending. There's only 5 episodes, so I can literally sit for the rest tonight. So I'll see how that goes. Yeah, I see what you're saying there. Last of Us has cast the character of Tess, obviously one of the main characters from the early on in the Last of Us game. She's going to be played by an actress from Mindhunter, Anna Torv. And that's not my movie and TV news. You got any gaming or music news?
I've got no music news because there's not much that's going on. I think the last thing I read was something about Kanye West and Jay-Z doing something, but I'm not too fussed about that. Who cares about that? Gaming news I got a bit. Obviously, the Steam Deck got announced, which is kind of going to be the Switch killer in a way. I feel like it's definitely going to overtake the Switch. Everyone was hopefully waiting for the Switch Pro, which never got dropped. He got that new OLED.
I don't know, because apparently it's really struggling to run some games, especially multiplayer.
Apparently, from what I've read, Steam came out and said it's running everything. There's not a single game it hasn't run. So, I'm not sure. Mixed opinions.
Either they're basically bullshitting or people have misheard. I know he's struggling to run like PUBG and stuff like that, or multiplayer games. It was really badly struggling.
I heard that one. I mean, to be fair, there's 3 separate models, so
maybe.
I suppose it's going to be. I mean, when's it released? End of the year, or is it next year?
December.
So I mean, they've still got some time to work on stuff, I suppose. I mean, Switch still hasn't got exactly the best online anyway, and that's been out for how long? God, what other news has there been? New World, which is like a new MMO from Amazon. That's been bricking RTX.
Oh, I read that. I read that earlier. I read something about something's been bricking it. Amazon game been bricking like the big top dog fucking graphics.
Basically, like any of like the new RTX 30 series, I'm pretty sure mainly 3090s, which is obviously the most expensive one. Apparently, it's been bricking. They put like a patch out. Apparently, from what I was reading, it's the frame rate. They had like an unlimited cap frame rate. So in the loading menus or main menus, you had like a ridiculous amount because obviously this graphics card can just push tons of FPS, and it's just bricking it. It's just breaking it like exceeding temperatures like mad, and then just bricking it. But they put a cap on it now, so hopefully that's fixed. I don't think he's doing it anymore, but that looks like it's going to be a huge game. I mean, they're in open beta, or no, closed beta, I think, and on Steam they're like the sixth top played game. So hopefully it's good anyway. I like an MMO, but I get bored fast. That's my problem.
Well, talking about remakes and reboots, obviously someone brought up to you at work, Dead Space.
Dead Space,
that got
yeah,
announced.
a remake.
Never
Dead Space.
really played Dead Space.
I think I played the original on PlayStation. I think it was it on PlayStation 3.
I might check this one out. Might not.
I'm pretty sure I played it. I don't remember getting very far. I remember obviously doing bits and bobs, but also it's another horror game, and obviously me being a bit younger was like, yeah, okay, maybe. I wasn't terrified, but it's definitely one of them things where it's like hold back a bit. It's a hard game as well, from what I remember. So I don't know. There's got to be other gaming news. Let me have a quick browse.
Quick Google.
Gotta be something.
I shouldn't have said that. My phone's going off, and I said, "Stop it!" My phone started going off, and I said that.
Oh, I haven't found this online, but I saw another article for another thing, and it reminded me. Talking about like remasters and reboots and stuff. The new Battlefield obviously added to the is all multiplayer, but they added the option to like add all the vehicles and all the weapons and stuff from the older games into like private like custom matches kind of thing. So that's kind of like I feel that's a good thing. Kind of adding all this old stuff, like kind of a reboot in a way.
Oh, I've got one here for you.
Weird one.
I found something here. Apparently, the Witcher Monster Slayer, the Pokemon Go game, that's basically The Witcher. Apparently, that's out now.
Is it out?
Might have to have a little look see it there.
I'll have a download that in a minute.
Same. Also, when I saw something as well, which
I've just found something which is quite humorous, which is probably my favourite news thing I've read in the past few days. Someone on Red Dead Redemption 2 online has been hunting racist players, killing them. They're just going around with like a posse of people, killing them.
How do they know they're... Like,
just obviously on mic, aren't they? So they
okay. I was
going
to say, that's going to take a lot of work to like... Obviously, good on whoever's doing this, but I mean, that's a lot of fucking work to do something like that. Then again, if you're into the game, it gives you something to do in the game, doesn't it?
Oh, huge thing, which is a crossover between movies and games again as well. Netflix.
Oh, I was about to say, you're going to talk about that, because obviously Netflix had a slug in, I think it was like, in terms of like new subscribers, it was like 1.5 million compared to last year of 10 million. So obviously, apparently they're obviously invested into games, aren't they? Which obviously will be controlled by your phones. But luckily, it's like not extra charge. It's literally on the same thing, which makes sense. But like if they were going for an extra charge, it should be like you should be able to select if you want the games or not.
Yeah, well, it's one of them things as well. Like gaming's probably the biggest selling media at the minute, so they've got to add it in. I'm surprised they haven't done a music one yet. Netflix suppose haven't done like a music inclusion as well.
Like Spotify or Amazon Music.
Yeah, like obviously Amazon Music do, but they had the films as well. Like they could just merge all the games, music, and
it's separate. One. Amazon Music is separate.
That's what I mean. But I'm on about why Netflix, if they're merging games, could merge music as well.
It's like an extra 10 quid.
I feel like people buy it. They've got the budget to do it.
Yeah.
So.
Anything else game wise or?
Oh my god!
You hit a wall. I've got some interesting news that's not game or movie related.
Hit personal note just from me. If you want to play some games for a cheap price, get the Xbox Game Pass for like £1 for like 3 months or something. I think that's still on. That's a defo grab, 100%. So that's just me shouting that out because Xbox Game Pass is all I've been playing for the past like month now. So
okay, some interesting news I found on Sky News. Apparently, cockatoos in Sydney, Australia, have been working out how to open bin lids by watching others do the trick.
What other game from that?
I was obviously like, oh, I need to find some like interesting news, and I was like, okay, so let's have a look. And obviously, I went on Sky News, I went on The World, and I found this. It's like a Cockatoos in Sydney have learned to open bin lids, and the technique is catching on as others have worked out how to do it by watching them scientists say. I've got literally an image here which I'll try and put in of it's like a cockatoo, like two sat on a bin, and one just lifting the bin lid up. Australian sulphur-crested cockatoos were first observed opening the lids of bins to scavenge for food a number of years ago by ornithologist Richard Major. Impressed by the apparently, basically people looked into it. It's not like a recent thing. It's like an old thing. Apparently, like it was documented back in 2018, but obviously they've been doing research into it. There's like an army of cockatoos here, like, watching over one as he opens a bin. The fuck? But I thought it was quite a humorous, interesting story.
You've got the light news. I've got some.
Yeah, I've tried to stay away from dark news. The other one I found was apparently scientists have captured an image of a circumstellar disk, and within it a planet with a moon-forming disk. But apparently it looks like the Eye of Sauron from Lord of the Rings. Like this planet looks like the Eye of Sauron. I was like, what? So obviously I was looking into it. I was like, okay.
He's looking into the Eye of Sauron.
What do you mean this planet looks like the Eye of Sauron? And obviously I clicked on it, and it does very much look like an Eye of Sauron. Apparently it's like nearly 400 light years away. In the Centaurus constellation. Obviously, if you look deep within it, literally looks like the Eye of Sauron. It's creepy as hell, but that's all the interesting news I could find. That famous.
I tried to search for some monkey news. I thought
monkey news.
Some monkey news in there.
Is that your section, monkey news?
And I mean, nothing's nice happened. Apparently, some brain swelling disease that monkeys contract or something. Some human managed to contract as well. I'm not going to speculate on how. No, I'm joking. It is like a vet, so they was obviously like doing it, but they contracted it in dog, which is the first ever like recorded human death from it ever.
What was your speculation? They were bumming the monkeys.
I mean, that's the AIDS theory, isn't it? Totally not the government. What? Other than that, I'm pretty sure that there's probably got to be some funny news somewhere about monkeys,
probably somewhere. We'll try and find it for next time. Okay, so we'll move on to a little segment of. Thought I'd keep going from the actual the old chat cave thing, which is obviously a 5-minute review on anything really. So obviously, what I picked today, easy enough as a movie. I've stuck it on before doing this and watched it. And since it's like a reboot, so we're keeping the theme I love, obviously from the old ones. Which obviously I like my B-movie animal killer films. So I thought I'd keep that idea, but change it enough so it's a bit different. So a reboot. Today I'm reviewing Lake Placid, released in 1999, which is obviously 22 years ago. Obviously it's a movie based on a killer crocodile in Maine that's attacking people, and basically Fish and Wildlife, the local sheriffs, and a archaeologist come together to try and stop it. Oh, and a crocodile hunter. Well, swimmer, not hunter. He swims with crocodiles. He's a weirdo. This movie instantly got a lot of hate. Even if you look on Rotten Tomatoes, it's completely slandered. But luckily, it's established this cult following over the years. It's a comedy horror, so it's got this horror. It's got the comedy in there. It has enough to make it. It has enough to make it work, and make it an enjoyable film. And the fact it's only an hour, 18 minutes, 41 seconds long. It's a short film. It's not very long. You can knock about 4 or 5 minutes off that as just end credits. It's barely even an hour 15, so you can literally sit through it and get through it and whatnot. It's an entertaining film. It's got a very Jaws-like theme at times, especially the opening. They've got a diver underwater, and you've got this sort of boom, 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 you got that, so it's very Jaws-like at times. But I mean, this film, it's mainly helped by its very entertaining cast, especially Betty White, if you know who that is. I think she's in her 90s now. She plays a character called Mrs. Bickerman, which is a character that last name that sort of plays into the rest of the franchise.
Oh, I do know Betty White.
And she's hilarious in this movie. She's always slandering everyone, always having a go at them, talking about killing her husband. She's hilarious in this film.
Do you know how old she is?
How old?
99 years old.
I knew she was in her 90s. She's hilarious in this film. It's a shame she didn't come back for the sequels. It's a shame the sequels sucked. Obviously, there's. I love like my duo partnerships in movies, like these sort of ones that bounce off each other. And this movie, you've got Oliver Platt and Brendan Gleeson, and they are such a good duo. You got them good separately, but when they come together, it's hilarious. It's like a scene where I find a thumb or a toe, I can't remember what it was, off the top of my head, and he picks it up, and Oliver Platt walks up to Brendan Gleeson and goes, "Was this your man you lost?" And he goes, "He looked kind of taller." And they're basically always bickering, always hating on each other, and they're always trying to kill each other, especially Brendan Gleeson. He's trying to kill, obviously, Oliver Platt. Because he keeps going like this, he keeps having a go and saying, "No, you're some redneck cop who's like wants to have sex with his sister." And there's this bickering between them. It's so good. And what makes it even better, they use an animatronic crocodile.
It's not like CG.
There's a few scenes, like when it's fast movement, they have to use CG, but most of the times it's like a slow movement. You'll see this animatronic, and it's beautiful. It's massive. There's a scene at the end where you see it on a lorry, and it's as big as the lorry. It's massive, and I'm always praiseful for a movie if they use animatronics over CGI.
Yeah, a bit more practical rather than the CG.
Obviously, the CG you can tell at times it's CG, but for 90s CG, it's decent CG.
Yeah.
So and it's only like a few scenes, I say fast movements, so it's not too bad. It's not too frustrating. The Croc's only in the film for about 3 minutes something seconds according to the internet. It's not. It's like Jaws. It's barely in it, which works for the film because it's more about the characters building and obviously them bickering and whatnot. It's got some edgy. It's got some a lot of times edgy aquatic moments, like people falling out boats. You're like, shit, are they gonna get eaten? It's got those sort of moments that keep you going. It's a really cool scene with a guy, obviously, when he actually comes face to face with a crocodile in the water. That's really good to watch. It's got a very exciting final act. It's full of tension, action, as they underwater scares. A quick shock moment right at the end for the audiences to go, "Oh shit, really?" It's got everything in it, and obviously it's even got comedy at times. When like someone shoots something, it's like back to one. It's basically it's a lot of like humor there, especially with the guy when he's complaining about something and he's like, "Oh, I can count," and he's just like, "I just said I can count," and it's just like this good like moments going on in this film, and it's just a shame if I get it underneath my desk. Obviously first one. It's just a shame the straight to DVD, straight to sci-fi sequels didn't live up to the rest.
God, yeah.
They made a crossover Anaconda at one point. That was ridiculous.
Are they on your desk this whole time, or have you put them there?
I put them there specifically for this. I also had the Anaconda collection there.
Keep them as well.
It's a shame that they didn't live up to this. But for like the start of the franchise, I grew up watching this film, loved it. It's not with Jaws, but it's an entertaining flick. I'm gonna give you a choice here. Do I do it out of 5 or out of 10? I'll give you the choice.
What did you do the main?
Out of 10.
Just out of 5. Reboot.
Reboot. Do you want it so specific to the point, like 4? Say for example, 4.1,
you can do whatever
or like
you
round it
want.
like 3, say, or 3.5.
You can do 3.5. So obviously you can do like 3.1.
So basically specific to those. Yeah, 0. Yeah. Okay. I feel like for this, 4 out of 5 is where it deserves to be. It's entertaining. It's a 90s film. You don't take it seriously. You don't need to take 90s films seriously. 90s films were never serious. Especially like, if you look at other films similar, like Anaconda, they're just stupid. They shut your brain down, have a good laugh. And now and you can spare an hour 15 for a movie. Come on, that's like fuck all really for a film. So yeah, I feel like 4 out of 5 is the right point for this. It's croctastic.
I've never watched it, so I'll give it 4 out of 5 as well, based off your judgment. I
do recommend if you're into these sort of B movies, you're into like animal killer films, you're into 90s films, comedies, comedy horror. I do recommend checking out. The sequel, you could fuck off, even though the ending sets up. Well, obviously you could leave it after the ending. It sets up what the possibility of a sequel. You could just ignore it, but then sci-fi and whatnot got involved, and then you got a pile of DVDs on my bed behind me.
Croctastic or croc shit, whatever.
The rest of them are croc shit, but the first one was croctastic. Obviously, since this is the first one, so we're not going to bother with it. Obviously, there will be like a question and answer section around this point for people if they want to send questions in. We'll try and answer them. Doesn't even have to be about the theme.
Pop on the screen any questions you want.
It doesn't have to be about the theme we're going with, just anything.
any topic. We'll just pick them out. It could be anything. That just need some interaction.
Yeah, and yeah. So obviously, we're also considering the last one of the month podcast-wise. We're trying to do live, and because we're trying. Obviously, this one's a bit earlier, but from now on, we're gonna try and record them on like a Monday. Obviously, the week building up to when we're actually gonna release it on YouTube. So then we got the up-to-date sort of news, of that previous week. So it's not like this way; it's like 2 weeks in advance. But this is just a test. It's a test pilot, so and whatnot.
Some interaction. We might keep it going. We'll probably keep it going.
Yeah, because I enjoyed this conversation. It was quite an interesting conversation.
Honest, just like at the end of the video when this goes off, just stick some like techno music and some flashing lights saying leave comments and just
Obviously, well, since it's Reboot, I'm gonna try to see about putting these on like Spotify and like iTunes and stuff like that.
Yeah, get some Spotify.
This one's probably gonna go out a bit earlier for the fact that obviously it's gonna be about 2 weeks before it's on YouTube. But I'm gonna put this out a bit early just to test the water with that aspect. But most of them I'm gonna try and put out either the same day or like a few days before its YouTube release. But if you want to see us like in person laughing, our ugly mugs says we just slander stuff. I throw DVDs behind me each week because if I'm doing franchises, I'm just gonna get a load of DVDs and go la 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 la, or Blu-rays. I'm not biased.
Just set the disco.
Shoot it out like your PSP. But yeah, we're trying to sort all that stuff out. But yeah, for the first episode, I think it's a decent and just under an hour and a half. That's not too bad. We've got a lot in, so yeah.
Quite off tangent points, but as we always, that's the best thing.
That's the best thing when you just have this laugh and you can just talk about anything that spins off from an actual conversation. So yeah, you can also put in the comments and whatnot, as well as questions. Obviously, things I could review.
Things we could change, anything.
Yeah, anything obviously you think would be interesting to add or anything. Yeah, basically any feedback, chuck it in the comments below if you're on YouTube.
Tom, get some better lighting. That'd be good.
Oh, lighting. So if we said writing.
No lighting.
I've got no light coming from outside at all. I don't know how you got light in your area.
I don't. My curtains are shut as well. Like,
I can be really bright if you want. I'm a ghost now.
It's quite dark outside, but I don't know.
I could be a ghost now. Woo!
Have you got a lamp right next to you? Put the lamp up to the ceiling. Like,
I could put the light on, but I can't be asked now. I'll fix it.
The start of the video is like really bright.
I didn't put the light on. The light was on me, and then it went off me. So next time I'll actually put the light on. But yeah, obviously any feedback is always welcome. So yeah, as always, I've been drinking Thomas Hughes.
I am Zenithfire /Zenithfire Gaming on Twitch. /AKA Connor O'Shea.
AKA the new host.
The new one. The better one.
Don't say it to Helen, she'll beat the crap out of you. Just stamp on your head with a high heel boots.
I'll wear my Doc Martens, they're all good.
So yeah, so obviously Mondays we're going to try and get these recorded ready for the following days. And I say end of the month we're going to try and at least do a live one. Get more interactions on Twitch, so we'll see
some guests sometime.
Yeah, we'll get some guests here and there. But I think for the first month or so we're going to stick to just me and him. Just to get the kinks out.
If it goes really well, maybe we'll start like a separate like Instagram or something, and we can just post on there as well. I don't know. We'll do depending on feedback. Whatever.
Yeah. Any feedback is great. So for now, wherever you're checking this out, I hope you enjoyed our conversation.
Subscribe.
If you're checking it out on YouTube to see our ugly mugs, subscribe, like, comment, as we said, is always great. So we'll see you on the next episode, which we haven't decided on yet. So we'll see.
We'll work it out.
We'll work it out within the next 2 weeks. So yeah, until next episode. This has been the reboot of Chat Cave, known as the Chat Cave Podcast, episode 1.
Oh, episode remake 1, channel 1, 2.
It's a clusterfuck.
This is like all the remakes confusing me.
Yeah. So until next time. Goodbye.
Bye.